Hey everyone, this is material that I'm going to talk about in class, but if you miss class, here is a video over piecewise functions. So remember, piecewise functions are functions that have multiple parts. So it's not just like y equals mx plus b. Now we've got like the y equals and then two separate functions. With the piecewise functions, you're going to have restrictions on them. So this is saying x is less than 0. So the sine x graph is going to happen when x is less than 0, so that's happening to the left of 0. And then 2 raised to the x is happening when x is greater than or equal to 0, so it's happening to the right of 0. So a lot of times with piecewise, I'll actually label them so I know where I'm graphing. So sine starts at 0, except it's saying not equal to 0, so I'm going to put an open dot. And then the sine normally goes up this way, so it's going to go down this way. So I'm just going to do a rough sketch of sine going this direction. Then 2 raised to the x, so that's an exponential function. If I start that at 0, 2 to the 0 power equals 1. So I know that graph's going to start at 1, and since it equals 0, it's going to be a solid dot. And then exponential graphs look like this. So that's my rough sketch of this piecewise function. This piecewise function has 3 parts, so labeling also helps. So x is less than -1, it's happening to the left of -1. X is in the middle of -1 and 1, so this one's going to be in between those two. I'm just going to write middle. And x is greater than 1 is happening to the right of 1. So when you just see a value, think about that as just y equals -2. And hopefully you know when y equals a value, it's just that horizontal line at the value. So if I go down to -2, it's going to be a horizontal line here. And the x value it's starting at is -1. And since it's less than or equal to -1, I'm going to do a solid dot. And then I'm going to graph the function y equals -2. Then the next one is between -1 and 1, we have just the function y equals x. So if it's y equals x, if you want to think about that, that's that diagonal line to the origin. If y equals mx plus b helps you, you could also write like plus 0, and the slope is 1 over 1. So we've got a starting point of 0, up 1 over 1, and then down 1 over 1. At -1, it's not equal, so it's going to be an open dot. Reminder, in order for something to be a function, it has to pass the vertical line test. So that's why we have to have an open dot and a closed dot, because if they both were closed, it wouldn't pass the vertical line test. And the last part, we've got 1 minus x. So I like that better as y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to put the -x first and then do plus 1. So now I know that that graph would start at 1 and then have a slope of -1 over 1. So down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And this one's going to start at when I hit +1. So I went down 1 over 1. So I've hit +1. So I'm going to start it there, and it's an open dot. Down 1 over 1. So I'm just drawing my normal line. So really with piecewise, don't be overwhelmed with everything that you're seeing. Break it down into parts. So label your different restrictions and then think about each part on its own and graph them each separately. All right, now we're going to do some practice. So hopefully that was helpful.